Some of the people that I thought about who had marriages that I wanted to emulate were, of course, the Cosbys.
Hi, Cliff. You mind if I borrow your sweatshirt?
You have it on.
Thank you.
You know, ever since you started these pottery classes, you've gone through every one of my sweatshirts.
Well, I like wearing them. They're comfortable, and they remind me of you.
Look at me when you lie.
There was always in the back of my mind, or not even in the back of my mind, but in the forefront, the never go to bed angry thing. So that seemed to be something that was fairly easy because that was, you know, everybody's advice to me. You know, don't go to bed angry, whatever you do. So when I thought about the Cosbys and the strategies that they used, and then the other couples around me who had these flourishing relationships, and, you know, everything seemed to be peaches and cream, you know, I just thought, yeah, this is gonna be great. You know, it's piece of cake.
So as far as I was concerned, I just wanted to make sure that I spoke to people who I saw whose marriages looked like something that I would want in my own life. So I talked to my elders. Obviously, I talked to my mother and father who have been married for over 30 years. And they made it look easier than I think it actually is. So I definitely delved into their relationship a lot, asking them a lot of questions and getting a lot of feedback from them. I had other family members who had been married for a while, some who were younger, who were definitely closer to my generation, who I could discuss the pluses and minuses with. I did a lot of reading, did seminars, like Dawn said. We did the counseling as well before we got married. As far as my expectations, I expected it to be challenging, but at the same time, I thought it would be pretty straightforward. I thought, you know, we would just get together, and if we have any issues, we'll just sit down, have a talk about it, have a cup of tea, you know, we'll straighten it all out and everything will be cool. I definitely thought that as long as you study on the front end, and when you actually get into it, it'll be so much easier, and everything will be so much easier to handle and negotiate, and the path to a happy marriage would be so much easier to navigate. And I thought I definitely had a handle on whatever I needed to know. I spent a lot of time studying, so I felt like I was very well prepared.
Those two young people didn't know what they were getting into, did they?
No, they didn't.
So as far as communication, I definitely learned a lot about communication. You can read about it, you can hear people talk to you about it, but until you're in a position to where you committed yourself to somebody for life, there's a whole different ideal for what communication actually is. I learned that everything that I say may not come out the way that I was thinking about it. And I definitely need to take time and think about it before I say it, a lot more than just having the thought and letting the thought flow right out of my mouth.
Dan, aren't you forgetting something?
What?
When we were going out, you were 3 years older than me.
Well, that's different, baby. You was old for your age.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, you was experienced.
What?
That put me in a lot of tight situations, but I'm learning how to handle that. So it really becomes thinking before I speak. How would she respond to this? How is she feeling before I say certain things? And early on, I would just say things, and I learned very quickly that is not the way to communicate with your wife. So that was definitely one of the biggest things that I learned through our first year.
For me, I had to get comfortable with being asked questions. I'm pretty solitary, very much in my own thoughts, and I'm an only child. So definitely not used to being asked a lot of questions, and he is very, very inquisitive. So I had to get used to him asking me questions and the way that he asks me the questions. He's toned it down quite a bit, but I also had to, I guess, develop a stronger exterior in order to deal with it, which makes me a stronger person too. So, you know, it becomes like a strengthening process through learning how to communicate with one another.
And I've been told that I'm really straightforward, and I don't necessarily think I am. I try to sugarcoat a lot of stuff, but apparently my level of sugarcoating is not as sugarcoated as someone else's.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
But I really do understand that I have to take more time before I say something and think about, you know, what kind of mood is she in. That was definitely one of the big challenges for me in year one. So I heard a lot about this, you know, sacrifice, being able to put somebody else's needs before mine. For me, the issue was, I mean, I got married, I was 30 years old, and by the time you're 30, you already have a set way about things. The way you like your house, the way you like your clothes washed, you like your food cooked, the way you like to drive, the way you like certain pictures on the wall, the way you like the couch. And when you get married, it's like all of that changes, especially from my point of view as the man. Now everything is about my wife. What's best for my wife? What's in her best interest? What does she like? What does she enjoy? And putting myself second. So that definitely was a challenge for me. And I mean, it's just something that you grow into. It's something that you learn. I mean, you can see it on the front end and know that's what you have to do, which was fine with me. I knew that was what I had to do, but when it came time to actually do it, that's where the challenge was.
It was a challenge for me too. You know, as I said earlier, I'm an only child, so I'm pretty spoiled, and I like things a certain way. And I'm used to not having to pretty much consult with anybody else. I just, you know, if I want something, I get it, and if I want to arrange something one way, then I do it, and there's nobody to answer to. And you know, that's different now that we're married, and it was very difficult to adjust. You know, I came from New York, and I moved out here to North Carolina to start my life with Chad, and you know, there were a lot of things that I had to sacrifice. You know, there was an outfit that I wanted, or a pair of shoes, you know, like check the bank account, and you know, if it's not feasible for that month or, you know, for that period of time, then that's something that I had to sacrifice.
Yeah, girl, all I want to know is how do we keep track of how much is yours and how much is mine?
No, Martin, there's no more yours or mine. All the money in there is ours. I put in all my money, you put in all of yours.
Oh! All right, cool. You know what? As a matter of fact, I don't think I gave you too much money. You got $20 I can borrow?
Definitely not used to that. But you know, that's on a small scale. On a larger scale, you know, marriage is about sacrifice. So like, this is just preparation for the larger sacrifices that are going to come, that's, you know, going to be for the greater good of the marriage. So, you know, sacrifice is something that we definitely had to deal with. We're going to continue to deal with it. There's definitely no illusion there. It is easier said than done. But, you know, I think that we're doing a pretty good job of doing it. So that's all you.
Well, I'm gonna be late for this conference. I gotta go, Pookie.
Hey, whoa. What's with this name tag? Hello, my name is Whitley Gilbert?
Whitley Gilbert's my professional name. Everybody knows me as Gilbert.
Well, they'll have to start getting used to you as Wayne, because that's who you are now, right?
Whitley Wayne. Doesn't really have a wing to it.
Oh, well, then why don't you just give me back that wedding wing?
So, becoming one, again, it was just something that I felt like I'd already studied and had a pretty good idea of, but it's definitely something new when you realize that now that you become a part of that three-stranded cord with me, myself, her, and Christ just being that center cord that's holding all of us together. And it becomes a sort of like carrying each other's burdens or whatnot. As far as now she has me to help carry her burdens, I have her to help carry mine, and we take both of our burdens to Christ. We take each other to Christ. You know, when we're angry or whatnot, we have to pray, and you know, we read scripture or whatnot together and study together, just so that we make sure that we're on that same page, so that we have an aligned vision for what we want to do as a married couple, what we want to do as, you know, God's children, what we want our marriage to stand for, what do we want our household to be representative of, and that's the way we become one. And again, it's definitely challenging for me to take all of these years that I've been about my own thing, and okay, this is what God wants me to do, and then submit myself to aligning that with where she is, and bringing her on, and making her a part of what God has shown me and what God is showing us both at the same time. But for me, I know I can speak for myself. I know my relationship with Christ has made that easier because he aligns our thinking, he aligns our vision, and as long as we stay aligned with his vision, then he'll keep us aligned with each other.
That's true. And, you know, to add to that, you can look around, you can hear songs, and, you know, it's like, oh, two become one, it's this magical thing, and the violins are playing, and the trumpet is blowing.
Will you?
Blessed are those who ask the questions, brother.
Whitley, I love you, and if you'll have me, I want you to be my wife.
What the hell are you doing?
Hey, I'm sorry, Byron, I love her.
Die! Just die!
Let him go, man. Will you have me, Dwayne, as your lawfully wedded husband from this day forth to having a home and richer for poorer? Baby, please, please.
I do!
And let me just tell you that it's not as easy as it sounds.
It's work.
You know, don't be disillusioned. It's a great thing when it happens and when it comes together, and when you have two people who are really trying to work on that aspect of becoming one. But you know, it takes a lot of work.
Mr. Gaines. Yeah. Married life should not be this hard.
Says who? If one thing I've learned, it's all about compromise. Velma gets what she wants, and I compromise.
You have to be willing to let go of some ideas that you've had in the past and adopt new ideas. You have to have an open mind and be willing to listen and, you know, to really hear what your spouse is saying to you in order to become one and to have the same type of thinking. You know, don't get it twisted. You're still two separate people, and you know, you both are going to have different goals and visions, but ultimately those visions should be in alignment.
So my final thoughts and what I learned in year one would definitely be that whatever I put into our marriage is likely what I'll get. She's definitely going to reciprocate. Whatever I sow into her is what kind of fruit is going to come back to me. I definitely need to make sure that I keep Christ first, and that my connection with Christ is what's going to manifest itself in my marriage. I would just encourage anybody that's thinking about getting married to really take the time to study. But there's only so much you can learn through studying. It's just like swimming. That's the analogy I use when people ask me about how it went in the first year. It's just like swimming. I could study and I could learn as much as I could, as much as I wanted to on the front end. But it's totally different when you're learning about swimming versus being dumped out into the middle of the Atlantic Ocean and have to swim for your life. And it's work and it's challenging, but it's just like a woman having a baby. You know, it's at certain points it's painful, it's struggle.
Mr. Engels, when you gave birth, what did it feel like?
What did it feel like? Didn't you hear me screaming in there? It was the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. I didn't know that pain like that could exist. The horror! don't understand how Mother Nature could allow such terrible suffering to happen to a human being.
There's definitely something beautiful that comes of it.
No, Cliff, you're tensing, honey. You're tensing. I want you to breathe. Come on, inhale and push. Push, and push. Push, and push. Push, Cliff. Come on, push.
And I've seen that in the first year throughout all of our work and our challenges and whatnot. We definitely have something beautiful, and I'm happy about it, and I enjoy it. So those are my final thoughts.
Well, for me, one of the biggest things that I've learned in this past year was, it was along the lines of communication, and it was pretty much to communicate, period. If there was something bothering me, I needed to be able to express that to him. And a lot of times I would just keep it in and try to deal with it, in my own way, which is usually in my head. And that never really ends in a good way. So that was one of the big things for me. Another big thing for me was just adjusting to new life and being married, from pretty much being removed from everything that I've known for 30 however many years, and being placed into a new situation and adjusting to that. Not making him be everything and putting that kind of pressure on him. Like, I can't put that pressure on him to make me feel happy. That I had to be happy within in order to, make things work in the best way possible. So once I got to that point where, I was actually happy and not relying on him to make me happy, things got a lot better. So those were the two biggest lessons that I've learned in this year.
And we really had to learn that we had to be, or have to be, two complete people. She doesn't complete me, I don't complete her. We're complete in Christ, and that's what keeps us balanced. That's what keeps us focused. That's what keeps us moving forward. And that's what enables us to stay connected to each other, is that, we're connected to Christ, and we wouldn't want to offend him. So I'm not going to offend her, because he is in her and he is in me, and we're not going to offend him by offending each other. So we just try to stay connected to him, try to stay fresh, in our understanding, in our study, in our prayer or whatnot. And we can tell when we're falling off. We can tell when we haven't prayed or we haven't studied or whatnot, because, the enemy will come in and give us new challenges. So that's our final thoughts. We love you.